shut up, you listen to my monkey mouth. There's a companion when you got pun on the canoa route. Hopped in a portal and got in a fight, Elias knocked him out. Bow, Naruto fighting style. Bow, UFC he tapped out. Bow, we win, we get crowned. Monkey mouth, monkey mouth, monkey mouth, monkey mouth.
Them Portal Boys be podcasting. This is Joshua.
And this is Elias.
And on this episode, we're going to be covering Season 6, Episode 4 of Rick and Morty, entitled Night Family. But before we dive too far off into that, I do want to take a moment to address the change of scenery that you guys are seeing. Which, granted, there's only like fucking 5 people who watch Portal Boys, so it's not like we have a huge audience to address. But we do get to stroke our own egos for a little bit and talk about how much we like this.
I love it, man. It feels comfortable, not sitting in a stuffy chair anymore, not in a little tiny, corner of the office.
Not having to manage my posture.
Yeah, not
like
having
I
to
can
manage,
just sink further and further and further into this well-used couch.
Yeah.
This is a free. This is a free couch.
That's you told me. And the thing about it is,
bunch of our shit is free, low-key.
Don't knock a free couch, man. That thing is comfy.
Bro, there was some asshole who worked a nook into this couch for years, got it to where it was super comfortable, and then let it go.
Yeah,
like an idiot. Like, bro, this is like prime time couch time right here, bro. This is as comfy as it gets.
I'm telling you, like I said, it feels a lot better in here. We're not in a cramped space. The circulation.
It looks better. Nicer too, right?
Yeah,
like for the people who are watching, like it's just a nicer arrangement. It feels more legitimate.
Yeah, it feels more legitimate. I'm saying?
Yeah, there's no longer. Before, we were having to like drop our logo right in the middle of the fucking screen so that we could cover up our work screen.
Yeah,
we have to have that screen up so that we can like make sure that everything's recording and looking right, and it just had some shortcomings, man, and we've been able to overcome them with this arrangement.
The funny thing is that
shout out my mom.
Yeah,
my mom helped me out with the arms and the microphones.
It's definitely needed. We are so excited.
The digital audio interface.
I don't think I've stopped showing this photo. I don't like. Doesn't matter if you know me or not. I'm like, hey, check out my studio space, man. This is what it looks like.
It's so much nicer now. You wouldn't know because you didn't see it before, but it's wonderful. I love it a bunch.
So, no, man, for real, like a lot of people who've kind of seen the progression of where we're going, absolutely adore it.
Yeah, anybody who's been keeping up with our progress is elated.
Yeah, it's really great. I mean, because your studio is dank. I always loved your studio. I kind of feel like that's our beginning, man. That's like the home, That's so cool. I love that studio. And then we downgraded and we upgraded, and now we've upgraded, and it feels good.
Yeah, it's had its ups and its downs, man. But that's what happens when your shit gets hit by tornadoes and life happens.
Life happens. But it's so great, man. I mean, it's a nice little studio spot. It looks good. We get to talk about our favorite things. Like, man, I like this episode of Rick and Morty. Was probably it's definitely in the top 5 now, I think, for me.
Yeah, well, what I liked about it is that it was like a horror theme.
Yeah.
Right? Like it had a whole different
It had
vibe.
An element, yeah.
No, it just had a whole different vibe, right? Like it had like this like overarching ominence to it. You know what I'm saying? And
so we got the name of this one is
Night Family.
Okay.
Yeah, and one of the things that I like the most about this show is how they do a good job of like doing different things with it.
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah.
Like this is something totally different than we've seen with Rick and Morty to this point. Right? Like they were able to do something neat and novel and surprising to me.
Yeah.
I watched it, and the first time I watched it, I was like, oh wow, this is neat. Like it was like I kept not knowing what to expect because the tone
well, the funny thing
so
is
different.
Like on Facebook, I think I'm in like 2 or 3 groups about Rick and Morty. And one of them was like Rick and Morty bring the horror for this episode. And I was like, okay, this is cool. When I see like they didn't really go into a lot of explanation because of course they want you to enjoy the cartoon. They're just like, hey, check out the new horror themed element, and I see the sunken in eyes and the white faces, and my mind goes to immediately like zombies or something, and then to actually get the payoff of that, it's this really interesting premise of where Rick is traveling through space and stops off at a.
He's in the Gooby Jupe system, and he picks up what's called a somnambulator. So, and the episode basically starts with
breakfast.
Before that, there's like a quote from like some fucking dork who fucking knows if he's even real or not. I think you looked it up.
He's real. Yeah.
and then it goes into Beth not being able to sleep, and
she's digitally counting sheep, right?
on an app called Snoozy.
You know it exists now, right?
S-N-O-O-Z-I, huh?
I bet it exists now, right? Snoozies has to exist now.
Man, I mean, like, I definitely considered making an app S-N-O-O-Z-Y instead of S-N-O-O-Z-I. Like, yeah, why not? Like, fucking totally rip off anything Rick and Morty's doing.
Just counting sheep.
Portal Boys podcast. But Beth tries to go sleep on the couch, and that's whenever she's confronted with Rick just doing crunches, autonomously doing crunches.
You don't quite know what he's doing at first. He's just kind of, it almost seems like he's possessed because he's just kind of like rocking.
Yeah, his
back and
eyes
forth.
are like open, but they're not necessarily engaged with anything. He's just like kind of deadly going about this motion. It's something clearly off. I mean, it freaks his daughter out.
Yeah,
I mean, everybody's freaked out, right?
I like that she also lives in this realm where he doesn't give her the time of day, and even though it still kind of stays in this strange, ominous feel, she's like, whatever, all right, okay, Rick, or okay, yeah, just kind of like lets him walk off.
Yeah,
okay,
well,
Dad.
I mean, it's definitely, well, you know, she's freaked out.
Yeah.
And obviously that's her dad, so like, what are you going to do, stop him?
Yeah.
But then they make it to breakfast, and Beth immediately confronts him about it. She's like, bro, like,
you blew me off yesterday.
Yeah, like
what's
last
going on?
night you were like doing crunches and like totally acted like I wasn't speaking to you, and that's when he was like, oh well, that wasn't me, that was my night person, and that's whenever they like kind of reveal the premise, and he explains that.
I like how they differentiate completely between like, okay, so there's a day person and there's a night person. Like you legit, like you are not the same person.
Well, again, it's what the night person is basically while your belly's kind of hanging out.
No,
it's all good. But I figured you might want to know.
Yeah, definitely. Appreciate it.
But your button came undone there.
Is that one?
Yeah.
Oh, that's one.
Your bottom button came undone.
Both
We're
came undone.
We're having wardrobe malfunctions on the Portal Boys.
I love it.
These the people who are watching this episode are gonna get dinner and a show. I mean, you could just take your shirt off entirely.
Yeah,
and just like
machine
give it a wiggle for the camera, bro.
Machine it or whatever. What is his name? I can't think of it.
Bert Kreischer.
Bert Kreischer.
You know, whenever with Radix, we advertised with Bert Kreischer one time.
Yeah.
And it was before he kind of got his alcoholism in check, and he read our ad read. He like sounded so hungover. It was such dog shit. It was one of the worst reads we've ever gotten. We spent. We actually never paid him. Don't send me a
just
season.
in case.
We never paid that man. But we signed a contract agreeing to pay several $1,000s to Bert Kreischer and them, and that read was so bad I never paid him. Never sent me a small claim.
So, would you prefer a dog shit Chrysler ad or a no ad at all?
I'd rather no ad at all. I'd rather fucking not owe someone several $1,000s and get no money than owe someone several $1,000s and get no money.
Yeah, exactly.
Right? Like, if the revenue is going to stay the same, I'd rather not acquire debt.
Exactly.
You know what I'm saying? Like, I think that's pretty, like, I think everybody'd be cool with, like, not acquiring extra debt.
They say Van Wilder is actually his movie, but I don't know if you even know what Van Wilder is.
I've heard about it.
Yeah, so
I
it's
don't think I've ever actually watched it.
It's like the guy who plays Deadpool. It's like that's his like launching off point.
I thought he was like
Ryan Reynolds.
I thought his like thing that took him off was fucking American Pie.
No, but it's similar to American Pie. It's that same vein of like 1990s like dude bro films. American Pie, Van Wilder. What else is there? There's Road Trip, Euro Trip.
Yeah.
Yeah, just like those dude bro films that kind of like existed in like the mid 2000s and 90s.
So like stuff that I might have actually watched.
Yeah,
where I was
like
still actually like in the Matrix.
Yeah.
But back to the show. Rick explains that he got this somnambulator, and he like tries to act like he's too cool to let anyone else have it, and somehow or another, Summer manipulates him into letting him
just
have it.
Just a sigh alone.
Just
of frustration.
Like, just like sighs. And then, like, doesn't give him any more time. He's like, what? Just say it. She's like, nothing.
Yeah.
And it's like, won't even say it, right? And, like, somehow or another, this frustrates Rick into just being like, you know what? Fuck it. Everybody gets a night person then. And it, like, pricks all their fingers. Jerry's like, can I just give it
Beth's credit card number and call it a day? And he's like, no, this isn't like DoorDash or whatever.
This isn't Postmates.
Postmates, yeah.
It basically needs your DNA in order to program your subconscious person at night, your night person, to do the stuff. And so Summer decides to go and learn a bunch of school stuff so that she can make
like
A's.
one of them's Spanish.
Yeah.
She wants to learn Spanish.
Yeah, that was the first thing. She's
yeah.
like, I have a test in a week. I'd love to be able to make an A.
Yeah.
Beth learns the trumpet. Morty gets abs with Rick.
Yeah. And they make a podcast together.
Absolutely abulous.
Nancy Pelosi's going to jump off. We're
going to bounce Nancy Pelosi off my abs. Jerry begins being a pen pal with his night self.
Yeah, which is great because, like, it's another one of those, Mr. Meeseeks moments, right? Where, like, he takes something that should be relatively... It's explained relatively simple, but he Jerry's it up just enough to kind of, like, you know... it helps in the long run, which is great.
Yeah, but immediately catches fire. Like, it's not how you're supposed to be doing this, bro.
Yeah.
So... Jerry at night is like also doing laundry. Summer's like washing dishes, unrinsed dishes.
That's important.
And Morty, like after they cut their ad for their promo, he fucking punches his abs 18 times. Bro, I counted that shit. He punches his own abs 18 times like a fucking freak.
There's like a Muay Thai fighter out there, or just like a kickboxer, who just like every time he gets kicked in the face, he just like slams himself in the face with his fist. Like,
I don't think that's a real fighter. I think that's like a performance artist.
Could be, but he's absolutely terrifying.
Yeah, it's definitely scary until like he gets knocked out, like in a real fight with someone who's not intimidated by like him punching himself in the face, being a dork. I do. Jesus fucking Christ. It's like the Shaolin monk who would like let people kick him in the head and shit and just like stand there and like stiff up and like got put to sleep. Yeah, people are dumb. But Night Jerry requests Day Jerry to ask everybody in the house to better rinse their dishes.
Yeah, I think to just even do it, right?
And I feel like this is something that like obviously Night Summer asked him. Yeah, I mean just to rinse them at all, it only takes 2 seconds.
Yeah.
And so Jerry asks, and Rick hates it.
He becomes like super indignant about it. Like this is a line. The fact that he even like Day Jerry even knows about Morning Jerry is a frustration in its own. Like, they talk to you, like you communicate with these, no, like fuck all of them.
He absolutely, I think is the point that he makes is our job is not to make the subconscious people's chores easier.
Yeah.
Our job is to like live it up. And,
Have you ever gotten like super like petty about something like that?
I mean, I think anybody who's had roommates while they were young has definitely had to go through shit like that. Yeah, I mean, I've always been kind of a...
Isn't that funny that we equate them with roommates? We equate the night people and the day people as roommates. Or you did, because it's just like...
Well, I mean, you asked, I didn't make any equivocations.
Okay.
You asked if I've ever had to be that petty about something like that, and the only time I've ever had to have been is whenever I was dealing with roommates.
Yeah.
And so that's where the crossover lies,
It almost feels right though, because it's like they literally don't live in the same spaces. Like, I mean, they live in the same spaces.
Well, they share the same. They share the same house.
Share the same.
They just occupied at different times.
Exactly.
And that can happen with roommates.
Yeah.
But Rick hates this Inquisition. Like, literally stands up at the table and like squirts ketchup all over everything, like a fucking asshole.
He's
bro.
like, this is where this conversation,
this.
begins and ends, and he just like
request denied.
Request denied. Yeah, request denied, and he just drops ketchup all over it, slams on the table, and exits.
Yeah, makes a big dramatic thing about it, and I love that. The next morning, Rick wakes up, and his alarm is like some rooster aging machine. It cracks an egg, it turns into a rooster, it caws, wakes Rick up, and then ages to dust in like a few seconds.
It essentially does the same process over and over again.
Well, it only did it once.
Well, I'm assuming that those ashes are probably getting regenerated back into something.
Or he just has an infinite number of eggs.
That could be it too.
Either way, I'm certain that like roosters are being brought into life and sacrificed for Rick's ability to wake up indefinitely until he wakes up, and every day. You know what I'm saying? And it reveals that the dishes have all been broken by the Knight family.
So he gets up to like, and he's like getting like a bowl of cereal. He definitely has like.
Yeah, he's just like going about his morning.
Yeah, and like there's no dishes, and he's like, "What the hell?" And then that's whenever Summer's like, so what did she called him, like a shit ass or something like that?
Well, so when they discover the big pile of broken dishes,
Yeah.
Summer says something and calls him brains for shit.
Brains for shit. Yeah.
And so Rick trips out, like Rick is triggered at this point.
Yeah.
He goes and gets fancy space dishes from the Forbidden Zone.
Yeah.
8 Marmadukes beyond the Outer Rim. And it's like some toxic little planet. And there's some like... so you thought it reminded you more of... I thought the character reminded me of like an off-brand... what was the villain from the Superman versus Batman movie?
Yeah, that was like Doomsday, right?
Doomsday or one of those like...
Yeah, I think it's
one of those characters. One of those type of characters. He looks like one of those characters who like owes one to Rick. And who did you think it reminded you of?
It reminded me of the I think they call it the dwarf giant that lives kind of like off in kind of like a forbidden, like he's been excommunicated from his family, and he ends up making Stormbreaker.
Well, he works at that. He works the forge that was built around a star.
Yeah.
And the star is now dying, and Thanos has killed all his people.
That's
so
what it is, right?
It's not that he's been excommunicated; it's that they've dealt with Thanos.
Yeah. So
he made the Infinity Gauntlet.
That's exactly So he goes there to make Stormbreaker.
Thor does, yes.
Yeah,
yeah, that's correct.
Yeah, so that's what I thought of.
And so instead of getting Stormbreaker, he gets dishes.
Dishes
that are 110% indestructible. Yeah. And I love that whenever he drops it off, they're like, that's a lot of effort just to not do what the Knight family is asking. He's like, fuck you, try breaking these dishes now. You know, it's not going to happen. And that night, the Knight family ambushes Rick.
Yeah, and convinces Night Rick before they can wake him up, to disarm every mod on his body and not allow him into the garage.
Yeah, basically locks himself out of his own tech. He turns off all of his modifications. Remember in like the earlier, I think like season 1 or 2, they scan him and they're like,
he's like a Swiss Army Rick.
Emphasis on above level 10 upgrades, and so he has like all these where his arm turns into a mega gun, but he's only got one eye, so his depth perception's off. You know, like all that shit's now turned off, and he can't get access to his garage because his Night version of himself locked him out. And they've got him, they like restrain him.
Yeah, they got him tied down, or like literally like anchored down to the bed. And they're
they got him tied up. He's literally tied up.
And Night Jerry's like, it's a simple request. Just like do the dishes.
It takes 2
seconds. And then this is when you find out that there's kind of like some unresolved. Well, of course it's Rick, but there's like these unresolved feelings that Day Summer has with Rick. Like, so she's holding in. Whether it's the jealousy about not being able to go on adventures with him, or not being taken as seriously by him, which actually I don't think that's true. I think she doesn't see how much he really depends on.
I mean, he refers to her as his favorite grandkid.
Yeah. So
like pretty openly.
But I think that she, that teenage mind of hers makes her think that she's just not respected by him.
Well, I mean, they're always being self-conscious about where they rank in grandpa's mind and shit. But I've been trying to tee you up to talk about what they fucking did to this guy while they have him.
Well, I mean, that's what I'm saying. So
they literally, I don't give a fuck right now about the revelations about Summer's subtle back end, whatever that Rick goes to confront her about, bro. They scrape table scraps.
Yeah, I don't even know what the fuck it is anymore. Just like peas and carrots into his mouth.
It's just like nasty old table scraps.
And
all the like mush. I mean, Rick refers to it as diarrhea.
Diarrhea, And it's just like they hold, like his mouth is open. They're holding him down. They're holding his mouth open, and she's just, and you hear the fork, which is that's just death
scraping
to me.
The plate.
That's just death to me. I hate that sound. That sound lives in my nightmares, along with dot matrix scanners from restaurants.
Dude, like, the noise that lives in my nightmares is the dial-up.
Man, yeah. Oh God, I don't blame you on that.
Dude, What was great is I always knew that anytime I picked up the phone and tried to make a phone call and that was going on, that meant that someone was on the internet and I also just interrupted their internet connection, so I'm about to get my ass chewed out.
Yeah, that's just like.
So it was like immediately like, oh god, like you hear that, and not only is it like tantric Transformer sex, but it also is like a clear indication that you're about to get in some big fucking trouble.
That's awesome.
So it was. So I have like, like not real trauma associated with the noise, but like enough for it to be enough for me to like not have the best feelings associated with it.
Yeah, you ever food service industry will make you hate the sound of a dot matrix printer.
Oh,
yeah.
I worked as a waiter for like almost 2 years at a Casa Ole in Waco.
Yeah.
And
you can hear that stuff in your sleep. You can hear that printer in your sleep.
Well, so it wasn't as big a bane for me. You know, whenever I actually heard that a bunch more was when I was at Pizza Hut.
Oh yeah,
because every pizza order that comes in was like right behind me at the phone, and it was just
shaking and rattling as it like prints off another pizza.
More reason for the guys in the back to be frustrated and ruin the evening.
But so he essentially, I mean, he's just like puking his guts out. I think he's calling out the
baby
God,
Jesus.
baby Jesus, yeah.
But real quick, before we get too far off past that, they did reveal at this point that that Summer leads the Night family.
Yeah,
she's the de facto.
She leads the Night family and essentially says, "Down, like here, you're not in charge. I am."
Yeah, and she goes on to basically be like, "I've been living in the depths of your granddaughter for forever, is waiting for this opportunity, and your machine let me take over the night, and I will seize the day too." And then that's whenever it pans to, Rick actually swallows the nasty shit and is like has tears in his eye, and then he's throwing the shit up, calling out to baby Jesus in the morning,
drinking a whole thing of mouthwash.
Yeah, literally just chugs the mouthwash and immediately kicks in Summer's door and confronts her. "What the fuck is your problem with me?"
And she doesn't know because that's like her subconscious mind.
She's like, I don't know. I didn't do.
What's the problem with you?
I didn't do anything. He's like, your night person just made me eat diarrhea and locked and convinced my night version of myself to lock me out of all my tech.
So great, man. I mean, did you ever watch Us? Did you ever watch that with Key? It's essentially similar to this. To the premise of this, it's Key from Key and Peele. It's his like second horror movie after his first one,
Get
of
Out.
course. Get Out. Thank you. After Get Out.
I never watched that one.
You never watched the other one after Get Out, or
I did watch Get Out.
Yeah. So it was the second one, and there's essentially like doppelgangers and like this like really creepy kind of look that they have that's like just lacking, as like the doppelgangers just kind of have this like.
You can tell they're not all there.
Exactly.
They're like missing a bit of like.
Yeah, they're just missing a spark.
So, Rick at this point decides to fight back against these guys, and his plan is to send Summer in undercover, and they put her in a sleep deprivation suit,
which I mean to me just looked like I think like insulation, with two horns on each side. Mountain Dew and NyQuil, which
Mountain Dew and Dayquil.
Dayquil.
They call it. The kids in Europe call it Dewquil.
Dewquil.
It sounds gross. It is. It is gross. And he's like got her eyes peeled back, like to where like she can't blink. He's got air horns hooked up to each
like,
ear.
Right
she's in high heels. Like everything that you could imagine that could make someone uncomfortable, they've got it going on.
Yeah, and so she essentially works her way to the garage, and then they're going into
at 3:33 she sees the family kind of activate and start moving about the house, and she follows them down into the garage, and that's whenever they discover that they had been working to extend the range of the somnambulator so that they could be in control of the people beyond the field of its effect, which is basically limited to about the size of the house, which isn't something that they clearly explained at all. Like, they didn't say anything about it having a range of effect. They just said that it programs your subconscious. Like, how it can program your subconscious, but if you get far enough away from it, now somehow that programming circumvented. But either way, you're not supposed to, like, make a whole lot of sense about the show.
Essentially, if we wanted to get heady and stupid about it, I mean, radio towers or something. You know, kind of like the slime, where the slime kind of worked off, where like the booger.
Yeah, but like the mechanism that they said how it works is it reprograms your DNA, and so like if it reprogrammed your DNA, then like how does going how does going 100 feet that way undo that? Yeah. But either way, it's fun, and like it causes a big chase scene, and like a bunch of chaos ensues. So like it's a fun deal.
It's a fun thing to Deus es Jerry.
Yeah. Deus ex husband.
Yeah, Deus ex husband. Yeah.
So she puts the puck on the machine, and the Knight family kind of confronts her like, "Why are you wearing that suit?" She's like, "Oh yeah, because you guys are such clothing experts."
And then they're like, okay, yeah, that's good enough.
Harsh,
for us. Harsh, yeah.
And she goes, "Get back to work. I rule the night and stuff."
And stuff.
and stuff gets me.
Yeah, it's the like just
the way she kind of like lumbers off, like she's
selling
doing
it.
The fucking dude.
She's
bro.
selling it.
She's trying hard, like in good faith, and like it whirs up, woo, 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 and like all three little lights light up, and then Summer wakes Rick up saying, "I did it."
Yeah, like
explains to Rick what their plan was, and
I like her explanation of it because she doesn't know what the tech does or anything. She's like, Summer hooked the thing up to the smaller thing up to the bigger thing.
Yeah, it's like in the simplest terms imaginable. It describes exactly what she did.
It was so great.
And one thing we didn't touch on is Rick, before like they all went to sleep and sent Summer in solo style, he put together, because the Knight family cleared out everything from the house. The house is like totally, they trashed the whole house.
Oh yeah.
Cleared everything out, and then Rick has to make like some garbage tech to where he can. He basically has to like make tech out of the garbage that's laying around the house, and he does it, and he like is like strapping like spines to cans and shit. Like it makes no sense, but
like egg top, like just like egg, like
he's got a broken like carton of mostly broken eggs.
Yeah,
and he licks the eggs, and that's what activates this force field. And then once they like the nightmare's over, right? Mm-hmm. Rick licks it again, and it deactivates the force field.
And then Summer kicks in as well as not so Night Summer kind of like triggers. And she says...
it's actually a callback to a line that Rick has said.
That
I'm sorry, your opinion means very little to me. Yeah. Which is literally exactly what Rick has said to her in the past.
Was that because of the Shoney's pancakes reference that her opinion meant very little? I can't... I'm having trouble drawing conclusion to that.
I can't remember exactly when that was said. I do know that he said that to her. I can't remember what the context was, but he definitely told her that her opinion means very little to her. It was something about like what he was gonna go do something.
Yeah, that's right. Yeah. And
like she was like trying to throw shade at it, and he was like, "I don't give a fuck."
There's this really funny comedian who is I think it's like Josh Wolf. Shout out to Josh Wolf. It's been around forever, and he was like talking about how he would be like his dad would get up to like go and do something, and he'd be like, "Hey Pop, where are you going?" And he's going, oh, I didn't tell you? And he goes, no, you didn't. He goes, none of your fucking business. And then he just walks away.
That's
such
wonderful.
a dad move.
That's fantastic. And so at this point, Night Summer, like you said, kind of like takes over.
Yeah, triggers, and is basically like
proxy drones pop out of the floor.
They're made from all of the stuff that's been taken. So like one's a washing machine, the other one's like an oven. And you can just kind of see like they were essentially things around the house.
It's like tech that the Knight family made with Rick's laying around.
Yeah, with just stuff laid around. And so it holds a vial of what's could be, just some kind of serum that makes you go to sleep. Whatever.
It's just tranquilizer.
Yeah, just tranquilizer. Yeah, so it holds this they have tranquilizers in their as their weaponry, so that each time that they're hit with this tranquilizer, the version of their night version is basically
they go to sleep,
triggered,
and the night person takes over.
Yeah.
And they refer to them as proxy drones.
Yeah, proxy.
Those are the proxy drones, and she effectively enslaves them.
Yeah.
And they're like locked down in like jail uniforms, just like doing shit around the house for the Knight family. Like Morty's doing crunches, Rick's like washing dishes, but like in a bucket.
Yeah.
Like shit is clearly gone off the rails, and they're like assigned designated sleeping pods and so they put him in there, and like as Jerry's going into his pod, he slips a note saying, "If you're truly my friend, please help," to his night self. And then that night, Night Jerry breaks them out while the Proxy Drones are out.
And then I think like
the Proxy Drones are offline for some reason.
Yeah,
they
the
never explain why.
Yeah, but the funny thing is that Rick, I think, he either bitch slaps him or he hits him, and he's like,
so they get out to the front, like they all get out to the front,
get out to
and,
the front of the house.
Night Jerry's trying to explain how important of a friend Day Jerry is to him.
Yeah.
And Rick just can't take it and slaps the shit out of him. And it wakes him up. He was like, "Oh, thanks." And he's like, yeah, that's definitely why I was doing that.
That was my intention the whole time, yeah.
At this point, Morty tries to run to the car, and he sets a fucking alarm off.
Such a rookie move on his part, you know?
Rick's immediately like, "Don't."
Yeah.
And he keeps going, and he like triggers the trap, and the car blows up, and Gene from across the way is like, "Having car trouble there, Rick?"
Not the fucking time, Gene.
Yeah, it's not the time, Gene, whatsoever.
Gene is the same one who came up and was like, you know, talk when Summer gets like turned into a giant, and is just like kind of asking if everything's alright between him and between Morty and Beth.
I'm having a conversation with my mom, Gene. Mind your own fucking business.
Yeah.
He's also the one who the AI that manages Rick's garage's projects. She tried to get him to be the new Rick. Like he was like bringing over solar panels and shit.
Yeah.
And so Gene's, and also Gene got ran over during the Giant Cum episode.
Oh,
Rick, they accidentally run Gene over. So Gene's been through it, and that's why Gene's like YOLO, man, like having car trouble, motherfucker. But the chase ensues, right? Like
a great car chase, like very reminiscent of like old like 90s Hollywood, right?
Yeah, and so Night Summer is like riding one of the Proxy Drones and chasing them around.
She's
trying to shoot tranks at them.
She's like shooting tranks, and they're in the family like you know, what is it called? Like
sedan.
Sedan.
Fucking van, whatever.
And so they're like in the family vehicle, and they're running down they're like driving down the highway, and then Summer gets the upper hand by running into a cop car. Like she like pushes, like she goes into something, then she runs into a cop car. She takes off in the cop car, starts chasing him down again, and then Rick jumps out and is basically like fighting her.
Well, so I have.
He's kicked out.
Yeah, I have the notes here.
Okay.
So
yeah,
I mean, it all gets really hairy.
Yeah.
So down the road, Morty gets shot with a tranquilizer, and him and Jerry start fighting in the back seat.
Yeah, and you notice an inconsistency.
Yeah, it cuts away. Well, so I mean, they're doing this shit on purpose, but they cut away and show Summer like doing something, and then we cut back, and it's Rick and Morty in the back fighting.
Yeah.
And they get into a wreck, and Beth hits her face on the steering wheel and knocks herself out.
Yeah.
And Rick gets tossed from the car and lands on Summer's cop car and knocks himself out. And then Summer like starts commanding Rick, and now they're teamed up. And so now you've got you've got Rick and Summer knocked out, chasing the family in the car with a knocked out Morty and a knocked out Beth.
So what did you think of
Jerry's the only one who's awake at that point, and Summer and Beth starts driving them back to the house.
Yeah. So what did you think of the Beth Jerry choke scene?
Oh, that's great. Yeah, it's wonderful. She gave Jerry a big O hard on, and
she's so disgusted by it.
Even her subconscious person is just like, ugh, to Jerry's weird little dick. She doesn't like Jerry's weird little dick.
Oh my god.
And so Morty tries to choke out Jerry, but Jerry bites him and wakes him up. So now it's just a sleeping Beth.
Yeah.
And a wreck happens, and an Adderall shipment gets wrecked on the side of the road, and it turns into Adderall dust. And
it's like Adderall and vitamin C or something like that.
I don't know. I just know that there's Adderall dust in the air as Rick and Summer drive through it, and the Adderall dust wakes them
Yeah,
up.
it just like completely brings them back to. And the way that Morty brings Beth back to is by pushing in the car cigarette lighter, which don't exist anymore in any cars.
Yeah, but I mean, they're driving that old fucking beater.
Yeah.
And so at this point, everyone is awake.
Mm-hmm.
And Summer leaps from her cop car to, well, actually, it's Night Jerry.
Yeah.
But she leaps from her car to the family car for
And
family.
she's like, I'm in a perfectly safe car, Dad. Like, why would I jump? And he's like, for family?
Which was also it's for family.
Yeah.
And she's like, oh, sure, and does it.
Yeah.
And so Summer winds up accidentally, like, setting her hand on a tranquilizer and tranquilizing herself. And she reaches up and grabs the steering wheel and crashes them off the road.
And they're like bumping each other off and on
They
the
all
head. They're
do,
just
like half of
knocking
them
each
get
other.
knocked out from the wreck,
Yeah.
and then like they're knocking each other out off and on, and it winds up with Rick being the only one awake, and he's being restrained by the entire family yet again.
Yeah. And like Night Jerry's like, we can find like common ground. Let's do a restraint. Like let's de-escalate the situation. What do we need as like a core group to make this like copacetic? And back down to the dishes again. Like,
yeah, well, so he's like, can we come to an arrangement? And like they see that Rick's like kind of receptive to it. And so Summer pitches that like we can have a truce if you just rinse your dishes. And Rick is literally like, no, he doesn't. They don't actually show him saying anything. But like,
it's that's the John Carpenter moment, right? Like that's the 1970s like joke on Family Guy where like they hit the back of the woman and the face comes off and it's she's been a robot the whole time and they're in a dome and the dome is surrounded by gun turrets and the gun turrets are surrounded. It's just this like ridiculous like over camped craziness that happens, you know. So like, you know. They don't
like
have
all
you don't
that
have
happened.
to,
You didn't understand the scope of it.
Yeah,
like, they were just showing you to understand the scope.
Yeah, and so like you know you don't have to be force fed it. There's nothing that be said there. You just notice that now Rick is clearly Night Rick. You know.
Yeah, and they drive back home and they have this like shitty 70s montage with like the credits rolling and the Night family is like living their best life.
They're living it up.
Beth is like doing performances in halls.
Yeah.
They're like doing all this neato shit.
They're going. I think they went to like Paris. They went on a cruise. They just like doing.
Yeah, they definitely went to Paris. All kinds of shit.
Yeah.
And then it snaps to like reality, right? We're like, the car is getting repossessed.
They like max out the credit cards.
The accounts are getting frozen.
Night Summer forgot her Twitter password.
So she's locked out of her Twitter. And they realize how much work they hadn't accounted for that actually goes into seizing the day.
Yeah.
And they're all like, I mean, like, bro, the house is filthy. Everything is disgusting.
Yeah.
Like, everything is truly disgusting.
And so there's like two ways. There's the first way that I took it. I was like, geez, like Rick wants to just cap them all and
yeah, well, he's like, I've got something that can fix all this, and he pulls out a gun, and it's like, oh shit, he's about to pitch killing everybody.
Yeah, and then they go to the garage, then down to the little basement area.
And Rick shoots the somnambulator.
Yeah, the somnambulator, essentially freeing them all. And he's like, "How long have we been asleep, guy?" Like, no. Summer's like, "We couldn't have been asleep for that long."
And he opens up his phone, and the first thing he realizes is that they killed the Choco Taco. And they all just like scream in panic, and the episode ends.
Yeah, what a great way to end it. I'm just like,
which also I don't think the Choco Taco is actually dead. They stopped doing Choco Tacos at Taco Bell.
yeah.
But you could still go to the fucking convenience store and get a Choco Taco out of the freezer.
How old are those Choco Tacos?
Probably not too old. People be buying the shit out of them Choco Tacos. I buy the shit out of Choco Tacos. I'm gonna tell you right now, about a third of this is Choco
Choco
Taco.
Tacos.
You know what I'm talking about? That's not true. It's all Thai food, man. It's all Thai food.
Dude, you gotta try
Pineapple.
that new Korean place up the road, Seoul Korea. It's really good, man. They have kimchi pancakes there that are amazing.
I'm really not into cabbage, man. I've only had cabbage once that was worth eating, and it was made by my dad's friend Tim, and R.I.P. Tim. He was a good man, and way too many DWIs on the record. Way too many DWIs, but good dude, and
Yeah.
made the only cabbage I was ever able to eat, and God rest his eternal soul. But yeah, the thought of kimchi pancakes turns me off pretty hard.
Oh man, they were so good. Like I was like,
I'll try them for you, but if it's not any good, I'm definitely gonna like make you buy me something good.
listen here, motherfucker.
Like, bro, I spent $12 on these shitty ass kimchi pancakes. Let's go get like a pizza.
I'm not a big kimchi person. I've tried kimchi before. I'm like, okay, it's spoiled cabbage. Not really my.
You
my
know
bag.
where I've had kimchi that I thought was okay?
What is that now?
A spot called Cilantro.
Okay.
You familiar with Cilantro?
No, I'm not.
So my buddy Eric's dad owns a company called Snappy Snacks, and they like lease out food trucks to people.
Yeah.
And he helped put on the guys who do like Korean infusion barbecue type shit.
Okay, yeah.
And their big thing is kimchi fries, and they get you fries and they throw kimchi on it, and then you can literally dress it like, imagine you're going through Freebirds making a burrito, except you're just dressing these fucking french fries. And you know, with like the mix that I could create, the kimchi like
it's muted.
it added a little something to it. Like, it was a situation where like it gave it some crunch in some weird places, and like gave it some texture in some places, and like it had some flavor that like if like I could work with, you know what I'm saying? But like, it's got to be worked. I gotta like work with that shit to make it good for me. It's also really hard for me to go out to eat anywhere other than at the little food truck court that's next to my house. So like literally not 5 minutes up the road from where I'm at, there's a spot called Elias Roadside Produce, and it's a little farmer's market on the side of the road in Round Rock. And in there's Taquiera Jaguar, which is my favorite spot for breakfast tacos in Round Rock, minus Veracruz All Natural. But Veracruz All Natural is out of the way and overpriced. But they do, frankly, have a better breakfast taco. Veracruz All Natural got voted the best breakfast tacos in the United States.
Nice.
And so it's like real tough competition out there. But for the convenience factor, so I've had Taquiera Jaguar probably fucking 50 times since the last time I had Veracruz.
Yeah.
And then in that same lot, there's Amber Fire Burgers. And Amber Fire literally gets their meat from the local farmer's market to make their cheeseburgers, and they do smash burgers.
Oh, smash burgers are really good.
I say semi-expensive. It's expensive, bro. But, like, the burgers are hellacious. And, like, if you go up there and get just a burger, no fries, don't get bacon on it, you can get out of there for, like, reasonably priced. You can have a really, really good burger. And then also there's Dawes Thai Cuisine. And, bro, between those three places, like, it's hard for me to like drive past that to get to anywhere.
Yeah.
It's got to be like a thing when like I was out here in Taylor doing the thing and like the stars align, I'll do it. But
Greenhouse has got a pretty pricey burger. You can kind of do the same thing. If you get out there just with the standard cheeseburger, you're in it for probably about $12 to $13.
Yeah, that's about what you're looking at. Man, the other day I was very upset with Amber Fire because they charged me way too much for a burger, because I got the burger and the fries, and then I got the Cajun fries, which is an extra 75 cents. Then I got bacon on the burger, and they charged me $3 for bacon, and I did not realize what was going to happen.
Yeah.
And like, I got there and they'd already made the burger, and they told me how much it was, and like I won't even repeat how much this burger was because it was nauseatingly expensive, and it almost like soured my ability to even enjoy the burger. But I was still able to enjoy the burger because it's that good. But definitely also I got, so in the past they've got some zesty sauce, and like I dipped my fries in it. They never charged me for it in the past. They charged me 75 cents for that too. This is like
hard times, man.
Bro, charge for sauce, charge for seasoning on the fries, charge for bacon, and it's like, bro, after a while you got like a really expensive burger here, and like I think I've dealt with the owner in the past, and he's kind of like hooked me up a little bit. And I didn't realize quite what I was walking into whenever like the dude he has working there hourly like charged me the way I'm supposed to be charged. I was like, oh wow, holy shit.
Yeah, I've
get
had
the basic burger, guys.
I've had that same
cheeseburger with all the veggies.
I've had that same occurrence at Greenhouse where I'm just like, hey, you know what? I want French fries. Throw some queso on that burger. And then I'm like, I know now I'm going out. I'm not leaving there for more than $25.
Yeah.
You know?
No, that number that you just said hurts my soul because it sounds semi-familiar.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It's just like,
guys, don't spend $20 on a cheeseburger.
Don't. Yeah.
There is no $20 cheeseburger.
I can say I spent $25 on that cheeseburger for the person who runs the company, not for the cheeseburger. right? For the ambiance, for the bartender in the back that's a good friend, for the person who owns the business that I care about. All of those take into consideration.
See, I ain't got all them vested interests, and also they're at a food truck.
But I'm saying,
You know what I'm
this
saying?
is a
Like
sit-down
like these
restaurant.
guys are at a food truck.
Yeah.
You know, so like the overhead isn't the same. Like
Yeah.
you're supposed to be able to get higher quality food at a similar price to a sit-down restaurant
Yeah.
because they don't have the same overhead. But I'm getting
Exactly.
charged like fancy boy prices. But again, I just know better than to get $3 bacon or whatever. But we've digressed real fucking
enough
hard.
hamburger talk on a Rick and Morty episode.
Two fucking fat boys over here fantasizing about our next fucking bowl of slop.
Yeah, pretty much.
Fuck you, incels. We can talk about whatever the fuck we want.
About?
But so what do you think your favorite moment of the whole episode was?
Okay, so my absolute favorite moment of this entire episode would have to be whenever Day Jerry is getting like just lambasted for what he does with his Jerry.
Yeah.
I don't know why that just kind of made me laugh so hard because it's just like that's not the way you're supposed to do it.
It's a common thread. Jerry can never do anything right.
But
So like,
yet it still comes in the clutch because it's like Night Jerry, him being open and accepting of himself like allows him to build a bridge between the day and the night people. I mean, it doesn't quite turn out the way he wants it to, but he's still out to help them.
let's be honest. Jerry saved the day this episode.
Yeah,
With
Jerry. Yeah.
with him finding a way to stroke his own ego by writing letters to himself back and forth.
What about you, buddy? What was yours?
What do you think my favorite part of the episode was?
If not the scraping the stuff down the mouth, like just scraping that awful bullshit into his mouth, just the whole fact that like he's like getting abs in his sleep, you know, like when he comes in and like makes shows his abs, you know, has like the whole
He almost has like Chad energy, like
yeah,
what's up,
yeah.
losers?
Yeah, what's up, loser?
Whenever he walks,
I like how they get away with saying asshole by like dropping that burp in the middle. Like they could have probably gotten away with it completely, but it was just like a little kind of nod to like we got to say this word by breaking it up with a disgusting burp. You know?
So you should have followed your gut. My favorite part of the episode was absolutely whenever they were shoving that shit down Rick's throat.
That was
like
what an intense, amazing horror scene for like just like not being restricted,
the way that
forced to eat something, that like forced to eat like that garbage.
The way that Rick teared up as he was swallowing it, like.
And them like literally holding his mouth shut as it like, works its way down.
Exactly. Like, very rarely do you see Rick getting bitched.
Yeah.
And he just got like big bitch slapped. Like.
And by his granddaughter, the legit probably the only one that he carries water for.
Y'all, everyone needs to never sleep on Summer. Like, because this is what lurks within Summer's subconscious. Like, that bitch is crazy and capable.
I write Marmaduke to suppress my feelings of homicidal thoughts and whatever. And he's like, I never got that from Marmaduke. It's called subtext.
You said Marmaduke, huh?
Isn't it Marmaduke?
I think it is, and I'm trying to look back and see, because I think that they used a Marmaduke as a unit of measure. Earlier in the episode, whenever Rick went to go and get Rick gets fancy space dishes from the Forbidden Zone, 8 Marmadukes beyond the Outer Rim. And so that's a few times now that they've tipped the cap to Marmaduke, bro.
Yeah.
I knew I had heard. I knew I wrote that down for a reason because I like Marmaduke was like pinging in my brain as like something that needed to be discussed. And I'm glad that you bridged that gap because they absolutely mentioned Marmaduke and its creator during the episode whenever Morty fucks the sex robot and has an alien son, which Morty has 2 kids now, by the way. Morty has
an incest.
Yeah, he has the incest baby in space with Summer, and he also has his half Gazorpa-Zorpian son who's out writing tell-all novels. So man. So Beth and Jerry are both grandparents, and Rick's a great granddad at this point. People don't think about this shit, but like, it's facts. It's big facts.
That is, what a great like kind of And the what is it? I'm getting the whoopee swoops or whatever. That was referenced.
I don't know what's
that
up with
was-
dumbass shit. The hoo-haws.
The hoo-has, and that was referenced in the poem from T.S. Eliot.
Yeah, which again, they've done the Rick for Grumples moment in this show. Whenever Rick trolled the grandkids and everyone who laughed at his Rick for Grumples reference. Now every time they say something that like I don't know for a fact what they're referring to, I'm like, that's probably bullshit.
Yeah, it definitely puts you on alert to like, is he just like trying to like? I mean, are we gonna be laughing at this and trying to be smarter?
Are they definitely gonna fuck with me for laughing at this?
Yeah.
But at that point, I believe we're over 50 minutes. This has been a pretty solid podcast.
Dude,
man.
this
I
is
think
a
we
great
can
one,
call
man.
it there.
I feel like, in the grand scheme, this is definitely gonna live in top 5 for me.
Man, I tell you what I'll do. Since you showed your belly at the beginning,
Oh, no.
I'll show my belly here. You guys check that out.
Ooh,
Embarrassing shit. It's a big white belly, boy.
got one brown belly,
This
one
shit
white
don't.
belly.
This shit don't see no sunlight, bruh. Well, it does see some sunlight. I'll be standing out in my backyard nude, just
You
Captain Morgan on my back porch, letting my balls sag.
You doing the what is it, the sun bee holding? You ever did that?
Yeah, your asshole needs sunlight. Don't ever forget it. But at any rate, that's a Portal Boys podcast. This is
Your
Joshua.
asshole needs sunlight. That's how we're ending this.
Yeah, your asshole needs sunlight. This is Joshua.
This is Elias.
Them Portal Boys been podcast, and we'll catch y'all on the next one. Bang, bang.
Your asshole needs sunlight. Fuck
Everyone's asshole needs sunlight. It's a stated fact, bro. Like, read the science. Listen to Joe Rogan.
needs sunlight. The brown eye needs to see sunlight.
Black hole sun.
Black hole sun.
Monkey mouth, monkey mouth, monkey mouth, monkey mouth.